Welcome to the first and final word with Nelson Jordan. I'm Chris Nelson. If you have not done so already, please go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube page, follow us on all of our social media pages, and listen to us wherever you get your podcasts so you get caught up on all of our content out there. Familiarize yourselves and enjoy it. So Nelson, the New York Giants defeated the Philadelphia Eagles 34 to 17 despite missing their top two receivers in Pro Bowler Malik Nabers and Darius Slayton. On the Philadelphia Eagles side of things, they were without perennial Pro Bowl left guard Landon Dickerson, all-pro defensive tackle Jalen Carter, excuse me, so sorry, linebacker Nolan Smith, and late in the second quarter, their top cornerback Quinion Mitchell went down with injury and did not return. What were your takeaways from the game?
The Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm going to be careful what I say here. The Philadelphia Eagles are walking on a fine line, on a fine rope. And I was kind of tuning in to other things, just kind of watching what people would say and just getting an idea of if we're all in alignment to basically say, right? Because now we're analyzing these games. There's too many tea leaves to ignore at this point with Philadelphia, that Philly, the Eagles, something is not right, and they are in trouble. It does not matter with these Eagles, even if they are the previous Super Bowl winners. We're talking about this season and this season only. They have not been consistent. Barkley was getting his rear end handed to the majority of the game. Yes, he had a couple of runs where he was able to scamper for 15, 20 yards. But that offense for the Philadelphia Eagles is still inexcusable. It's inexcusable. They did not learn from the Denver Broncos game, which I'm sure that you are pissed off by. When you're not feeding your feature back carries, you are not mitigating your other potential weaknesses, for crying out loud. 12 carries for 58 yards only for Saquon Barkley. That is a joke. It does not matter if you have cry wolves in that locker room with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and others. It does not matter. You have to feed your best player the ball. And they didn't. And because of that, they were throwing the ball, slinging it around the park, and Jalen Hurts was thinking that, oh my goodness, maybe I'm just going to turn up and have, the perfect game and everything else, and everyone's going to leave happy after this. No, you didn't. Because in the second half, yes, you might have scored 17 points in the first half, whatever. And in the second half, what happened? You guys had several key drives where they either went 3 and out or you got shut out. And after a couple of first downs, whatever, and you gave the ball up to Jackson Dart and company. And what did Scatterwood do to that defense that, so vaunted against the run? You can't, for any reason, run up against that defense. Doesn't matter if Jalen Carter's not there. They also have his opposite, Batman as well on there. I forget his name, too. He also plays nose tackle. They could stop the run.
Jordan Davis.
Jordan Davis. Thank you. They have one of the best middle linebackers in the game. But no, Adebayo, he made them look like chumps all game long. They could not stop a nosebleed if they wanted to. Honestly. And I'm going to give a shout out to Scatterbo because him and CMC are the two best white running backs I have seen since Michael Allstott. And Scatterbo reminds me a lot like Michael Allstott, for crying out loud. He really does.
Calls him Michael. It's Mike Allstott.
Mike Allstott.
Michael. You act like you know him like he's your son. Michael. No one calls him Mike Allstott Michael.
Michael, usually, whatever. Either way, I digress. So, honestly, he was running with his hair on fire.
Hang on. You need to be called out right now. There's this running back who plays for the San Francisco 49ers.
I said CMC. I said him too.
CMC. Okay.
I did. Okay. Yeah, I just said it short.
Okay.
Yeah, don't worry. My buddies in the group chat got me on that one too. But either way, I'll continue with this too. Jackson Dart, he really impressed in this game. Really, really impressed. There were some key throws where he was able to make that was like, wow, this is the Jackson Dart I saw in Ole Miss. Some of those lofty throws that his receivers couldn't catch the dang ball for some reason in the end zone, or some of those beautiful throws at the sticks that he was able to make. Unlike Jalen Hurts for throwing that pick six almost to on that out route, which I know you've been calling out for.
You beat me to it. I was going to say out route, Nelson. Why do they keep running out routes? What do I
I mean,
say? It happened
the
exactly how I say it always
ultimately,
does.
listen, at the end of the day, with all that being said, I am very happy for the New York Giants for winning this game. But I am not pleased whatsoever with Philadelphia. Until they stop this nosebleed, this is going to continue and continue and continue onward. Something is clearly wrong in that Eagle locker room, and this is literally showing night and day. You cannot. They know the formula. When you pass for more than 25 times in a given game with Jalen Hurts, they lose. When you don't, they win. And again, 33 attempts. And what do? They lose. Your floor.
Yeah, I just want to run through this a little bit so that I can provide some of my thoughts on it. And the Eagles got the ball first. They had good starting field position. They came out and immediately gave the ball to Saquon Barkley, as they should have, and he broke off two big runs. But by breaking off two big runs, he, of course, was tired, so they pulled him out of the game, and they put A.J. Dillon in, and they tried to run the ball with Dillon and Hurts and have them make plays, and it didn't work. And so they wind up having to settle for the field goal. And you're right, it looked bad. Now, when you are missing your perennial Pro Bowl left guard, Landon Dickerson, your offense is not going to be the same. That is a massive loss. You're not going to be anywhere near the same offense. I will touch more on some of the things that happened despite him missing in a moment here. But just to put it in perspective, the Giants then get the ball and go ahead and throw up Jackson Dart throws up a pass to Lil Jordan Humphrey. I mean, they're without their top two receivers here. And Lil Jordan Humphrey goes up and gets it and makes an incredible catch to set them up. And then Jackson Dart drops back to pass again. He sees a hole, to run through. And we know Jackson Dart, mobile quarterback, he will run. He showed that a lot last night. He takes off. And there's the first team All-Pro inside linebacker, Zach Bond, right there in the gap to meet him, who's a quarterback spy on the play. They were using Zach Bond to spy Jackson Dart for this exact scenario, and Jackson Dart jukes him, puts him on skates, breaks his ankles, and runs in the end zone for a go-ahead touchdown. I mean, we're talking about Zach Bond, first team All-Pro linebacker. That was incredible. And then they stop the Eagles, get the ball back, and he finds Wan'Dale Robinson, again, without their top two receivers. These other receivers stepping up, making plays. Wan'Dale Robinson breaks a tackle, and he's running down the sideline for a touchdown. Boom, just like that. I mean, Jackson Dart scrambling over to make that play. It was unbelievable in the pocket what he did to find his way to navigate through and make that play. He was incredible. He looked amazing. And just like that, the Giants are up 13-3. I mean, a stunning start. And then they missed the extra point, which I just want to touch on because whenever I watch a kick, I know this is a little boring, guys, but if you love football, you'll get it. Whenever I watch a kick, I always watch the hold because it always seems to make a difference. And I'm not looking at the laces out day in type scenario here. The laces were out, but they were facing the right slightly at an angle. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, uh-oh, this might go wide right a little bit because the laces are at that angle. Well, sure enough, it did. So they missed the extra point. The Eagles get it going, methodically march down the field for a touchdown. And to be fair, Jalen Hurts got off to an extremely hot start. And for the most part throughout the game, which I'll come back to in a moment here because you talked about the interception. He had another bad play. But for the most part, they passed the ball very well. The Giants loaded up the box in order to stop Saquon Barkley, which they did so successfully after the first couple big runs, and then a big run at the end of the first half, which amounted to nothing for the Eagles, which I'll touch back on here in a moment because I have some issues with that as well. Not the run, but the drive. Not that it would have mattered, I don't think, but I do want to touch on it. And, I mean, look, we talked about last year Saquon Barkley's first return to East Rutherford to play against his former team, the Giants. He ran all over him. I mean, it was an incredible performance. Big time, what we'll call a revenge game, even though he chose to go to Philadelphia. But we know there's some circumstances there that weren't so favorable for him with the Giants. This time, the Giants weren't going to let that happen, and he got off to that great start. He comes out. Once he came back in, they bottled him up. We saw a lot of tackles for loss, both on him and Jalen Hurts. I mean, that was not working well. We know what that Giants defensive front is. There's no Landon Dickerson, so it does make sense. But at the same time, only 12 carries is not good enough, especially when you total 58 yards, even if most of it came on 3 carries. And that's twice as many carries as he got in the previous game when he averaged 5 yards a carry, rushing for 30 yards in those 6 carries. And we've talked about this with these offensive coordinators that get promoted after their previous offensive coordinator, when they go to the Super Bowl, takes a head coaching job. This is the same script every single time, and it's very frustrating. But that Giants secondary was forced to play one-on-one coverage, and they were absolutely horrible pretty much all night long. They were horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, A.J. Brown was eating them alive with his physicality, and I've never seen a receiver who's able to just constantly win at the point of attack the way he is and just win for the ball. We've seen it when they go up and get a rebound essentially, but never just dominated the point of attack like that with a normal thrown ball right to him in the cornerback where there's great coverage and he's
He's
stuck
so
on offensive
physical.
way.
He's so
Absolutely,
physical.
but it's incredible. And Dallas Goedert seemed to be open on every play. Devontae Smith making some plays. Jahan Dotson getting involved. So they had it working. And then they did respond, and they went down the field and scored a touchdown. They actually stopped the Giants for the only time in the first half. The Giants only were stopped on 1 third down the entire first half, and that was it on that third drive. And then they methodically marched down the field and scored another touchdown and take the lead, and you felt like, okay, here the goes come. The Giants responded. Give them so much credit. 4 drives in the first half. They scored touchdowns on 3 of them. Jackson Dart and Cam Skattebo, the rookie quarterback and running back respectively, were tremendous, as you stated. I mean, Cam Skattebo didn't even have 20 carries. He still ran for 98 yards and 3 touchdowns. And man, the physicality, as you said, is so impressive with him for a rookie as well. And we know what he was at Arizona State, but still, I mean, that was very impressive in the game last night. And so they have the lead. I said I was going to come back to this. I felt like Jalen Hurts was very lackadaisical on the final drive of the first half. Look, they were backed up. The Eagles had 2 kickoff returns in which the returner bobbled the ball and put them starting at inside their own 10-yard line. That can't happen.
Yeah.
And I don't think they were going to get anything anyway, but I hated how lackadaisical he was and didn't really seem aggressive in trying to get something. And the Eagles, give them credit. They did get the stop then to start the second half, but then the Giants backed them up again. Eagles were constantly backed up. Field position killed them, and they couldn't do anything. They go 3 and out, but I believe that was the drive where Devontae Smith got wide open behind the defense.
I was going to bring that up. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I said two negative plays, interception in that. He overthrew him second straight week. He's overthrowing a wide open
I was going to say that
down
too.
the field for a touchdown. It would have been a nearly 90-yard touchdown pass, and had them back in front for the ball.
Right.
If I'm correct in the point of the game, which was that.
It was
a blown coverage by the Giants, to be fair. So it was a mistake on their
Yeah,
part.
I think the Giants
counteract each other, but you got to make that play. You have to make.
I think the Giants
They
were
would
up
have
like
lost anyway,
10
but
or
you have to
something.
make the play.
Yeah, you do. I mean,
was
that
it-
would have
Was it later
the
in
Giant
the game? Am I wrong in where it took place? I could be.
that was, I believe, I think in the third quarter or something like that. And
It
he
definitely was
blatantly
the third
missed
quarter.
it.
I thought it was
He-
the first possession of the third quarter, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, either
He
way.
missed.
Right.
Yeah, and then the Giants took over. I mean, scored back-to-back touchdowns, and the game was over. And the Giants, I believe, scored touchdowns on 5 of their first 7 possessions in this game, and the game was over. The Eagles couldn't do anything on offense in the second half. That was the one opportunity they had. They couldn't do anything at all. They weren't giving the ball to Saquon Barkley. They got behind. Passing game was working, but they couldn't finish drives. The interception happened when they finally drove deep down into the red zone. And, I mean, the only other play I really want to touch on is Cam Skattebo then runs through Zach Bond for a touchdown, one of his 3 touchdown runs on the night. Again, we're talking about Zach Bond, and he had 2 big-time negative plays against rookies. It was stunning to witness. It did remind me a bit, for a throwback here, of the old Bo Jackson running through Brian Bosworth playing that Monday night game. Al Michaels on the call of that game, of course, and this one as well, so that made me think of it. Even though, as great as Al Michaels' call was in that play, the best call from that play, which is one of the greatest calls of all time, was the radio call, the bangs through Bosworth. I just want to throw that one out there, have some good times, the throwback moment. But yeah, I was really impressed with Cam Skattebo and Jackson Dart. They're both a ton of fun to watch. I loved how energetic the crowd was at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, with those New York Giants fans. That was great. This is only the second time they've beaten the Eagles in the past 5 years. They were 0-6 in the division last year, so this is a big-time win for the Giants. It really is, especially with their top 2 receivers down. They have to feel good about that. So credit to them. For the Eagles, I can't take anything away from this game in regards to the Eagles other than they need to run the ball Saquon Barkley more, simply because of the guys they were missing. You can't be missing a perennial Pro Bowler and an all-pro player, and your top cornerback went down, and the defense struggled even more after he went out, which is really saying something, and expect to perform better than this. It's just not realistic. Those guys are so good. You remove them from the lineup, you're nowhere near the same team. This is the NFL. You're going to play against good players no matter how bad the opposing team might be, and we don't know what that might look like. So, look, credit to the Giants for a big win for them, but I'm not going to evaluate the Eagles on this one fully because this isn't really the Eagles with those guys out, so it's difficult to evaluate.
Right, but I think we can evaluate for what they have now, and I think that's what our duty is to do. And let me explain to you why I say that. And again, I say it because I believe that they are in trouble. This is the second week in a row that your A and B gaps were significantly exposed.
Of
Without,
course they were.
yes,
Look
the
at who they're missing.
okay, so is it fair to say then they are bleeding, and they are most likely going to be bleeding until week 10. Week 10 is how long from now, Chris? 5 weeks.
Why are we talking about week 10?
That's when Dickerson is supposed to come back by the earliest.
Oh, I didn't realize the injury was that significant. He was going to be out that long. Okay.
So for 5 more weeks, can these Philadelphia Eagles really sustain? You got the Vikings, the Giants, the Packers, the Lions, the Cowboys. So the earliest he might even come is maybe Dallas, at Dallas. And let me tell you, they got a really good taste in their mouth of what the Giants are going to do in that second game. We know what the Lions are, and we damn well know what the Packers are. This is daunting for the Eagles. If I'm the Eagles, I am screaming because I'm looking at the stats and listen. This is the compliment how good Dickerson is. Without Dickerson, they allowed 7 tackles for losses behind the line of scrimmage. Let me say that one more time. 7 TFLs. That means Barkley was tackled behind the line of scrimmage, and they know Barkley is the hidden weapon to their offense. If you can get pressure up that A and B gap and force them to pass, we know that the best attribute to Jalen Hurts' game is for him to scramble, not throw from the pocket. When he is in a pocket and he's getting harassed, he does take sacks. And that's exactly what happened. So listen, I'm not trying to dog on the Eagles. I'm not trying to dog whatsoever, but you guys in a world of hurt for the next 5 weeks, as I stated, unless you guys somehow come out fair, maybe even 500. Oof. I mean, you guys really have to try to plug this hole because Dickerson, as you said, he is probably the best guard for his position in the game. And those next 5 weeks, man, just too daunting. Too daunting for me, man.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say, and I think you can agree with this, I loved the energy from those rookies for the Giants. That was so awesome to see throughout the game and afterwards. The energy they were bringing, it was great. And I
Yeah.
think for the Giants fans, seeing all those tackles for loss and Saquon Barkley, and then watching their rookie running back Cam Scatterboo do what he did, had to have been just the best feeling in the world. So awesome.
Thibodeau was going crazy.
Yeah, and
It's
then the
finally,
one other thing
right?
we have to mention is Jackson Dart did go out for a couple plays with being evaluated for a
For
concussion.
concussion.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw how badly Brian Dable wanted him back in the game, and Cam
That was
Scatterboo as well. I
hilarious.
mean, that was a whole funny situation, and so on and so forth. And we hope that the evaluation was still done properly, and that Jackson was okay. He clearly seemed fine both during and
I
after
hope
the
so
game.
too. I
But
hope so
Russell
too.
Wilson comes in for 2 plays, and to be fair, Jackson Dart had just been dropped for a 1 yard loss on the sack. But they hand the ball off to Tyron Tracy, their second-year running back, who's now the backup running back to Cam Scatterboo. The
Didn't
future
look
could be
good.
bright with those guys. They also have Devin Singletary, who we saw some last night as well, and do. So they might have a trio of running backs there. Who knows? It's one game. But Russell Wilson then on a 3rd and 9 has a absolutely horrible pass that was essentially batted down and complete. Who knows where he's going with it? So, I mean, that just made the night look even better for Jackson Darden. Who knows what that drive turns into? Probably not much, but it's one thing to throw out
Dayball's
there.
reaction after he saw that
Yeah,
pass from Wilson was
yeah.
like, get that dart back on the field.
Yeah. But we'll talk more about what we expect from the Giants after we have a full season to evaluate and
Yeah.
get into the offseason and see what moves they make. So we'll come back to that. But hey,
Yeah.
guys, that's all we've got for this one. For Nelson Jordan, I'm Chris Nelson. This has been the first and final word.